We aren't afraid of taking risks or doing what no one else is doing. We are a group of great people doing great things. Since 1988, we have been pioneering a new way in HVAC solutions, and we want to share our stories with you. This is a deeper look inside AAON.
Welcome to another episode of Inside AAON. My name is Derby, your host for today, and we're doing things slightly different today. We're going to have a short video introducing the topic, which happens to be Delta class. Please enjoy it.
AAON was founded on a culture of delivering premium products with life cycle in mind at high efficiency levels to our customers. Since the advent that we brought to the marketplace of dedicated outdoor air systems, we've done just that, bringing fresh, clean air to the student in the classroom, to the guest at the hotel, to the worker in the office building. The industry over the years has built up energy requirements, and there's new requirements out there specifically for DOAS units. With Delta class, what we're doing is reaffirming our commitment to continue to raise the game.
It's always been our goal to innovate, to solve problems, to exceed our customers' expectations. Throughout our history, we've always innovated. We continue to do that today, and we'll continue to do that tomorrow.
So DOAS is a dedicated outdoor air system. AAON's been doing those for a very long time. DOAS is a situation where you bring in outside air, and having fresh air circulated throughout the building allows all the toxins or the CO2 that might be coming from things within inside the building to be mixed and expelled, but still have a nice, fresh, clean air inside the building.
Awesome. Great video. I gotta say, guys, I am extremely proud of the amazing work the marketing team is doing with all these videos, this ad, in a way where you're elevating how people perceive AAON from a marketing and a branding perspective to what our products are.
Yeah,
So,
total
hi, Ed.
goosebumps.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm loving it. So let me introduce my co-host, my partner in crime, the awesome Whitney Tubb.
Hi.
And then we have two guests today, a returning guest, Kevin Teakell.
How are you doing?
Welcome.
Great
Thank
to
you
be
so
here.
much for having me. I have a question for you. Is being part of the podcast part of your job description now?
Maybe.
I think it should be.
Seems like I'm here all the time, I guess. But
And then another guest today is Cesar Saenz. Welcome to Inside AAON.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Cesar, you are a product engineer manager for the Applied product.
That is correct.
So to get started a little bit, do you want to share with us what is it that you do at AAON?
I'm still trying to kind of figure out a little bit myself. I've recently got promoted to the manager position.
Nice, congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, so we manage a lot of the aspects of the product itself. We, from anywhere from applications to getting the units first selected and trying to be selected for the proper usage, all the way to the production line of getting the units built and even developing new products, as we go.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on the promotion. Very well deserved. Well, without further ado, let's get on the topic of DOAS. Kevin, if you want to get us started, could you tell us a little bit what is DOAS? What does it stand for?
yeah, so DOAS is it's kind of a class of equipment. DOAS stands for Dedicated Outdoor Air System. Okay, so you'll have people talk about DOAS. You may hear the terms MUA or Makeup Air Unit, things like that. So they're kind of synonymous, those terms. But a DOAS unit in general is designed to treat the outdoor air coming into a building. Okay, so depending on how you do a system, some buildings will, they may have just packaged rooftops on it, and they'll just each rooftop unit may, like in a big box store or something, each rooftop unit may treat a small percentage of outdoor air, bringing, because all buildings have to have outdoor air coming in. We need ventilation. People are always expelling CO2, and we've got other gases and things in the space, so we always need to bring some fresh air in to keep the space nice and comfortable and livable for us. So you're always bringing some outside air in. So, in some buildings, like I said, like maybe a big box store, you're bringing in, 20% outside air in through each rooftop unit. Other buildings don't have those capabilities. Other buildings, you may need to have a dedicated unit that does nothing but bring outside air in. And of course, outside air, you have a wide range of conditions on an outdoor, just outdoor conditions coming in. So, you may have a very hot and humid day, and then another day may be a little bit cooler and drier. So you have a wide variety of conditions that you're going to have to treat when you're treating the outdoor air coming into the building. So a dedicated outdoor unit, its primary purpose is really to remove the latent energy or the humidity that's coming into the building. So you may have a few dedicated outdoor air systems that will treat the outdoor air coming in and really get the humidity out. And then you may have other types of systems like water source heat pumps or VRFs or PTAC units, all kinds of other types of products that could be treating the sensible cooling in the space.
So in a way, I kind of hear like the DOAS is the unsung hero doing the work in the back.
Yeah, and it's really the difficult part because that, like I said, the outdoor conditions vary a lot, and just taking the moisture out of the airstream takes a lot of energy. It takes takes kind of specialized equipment. Now at AAON, we've been building DOAS units since kind of the beginning of the company, and it's for us it's not a big deal. But for a lot of companies, it can be kind of intimidating even to try to treat just outdoor air, and a lot of companies will have specialized products for that. But for AAON, it's really our typical product that we use. We may add a few different features to it, especially modulating reheat, energy recovery, some of those kinds of things. But for AAON, it's just kind of business as usual type practices for us. It's nothing unusual.
Help me understand a little bit from the market perspective. Who makes the decision of using a DOAS, or what kind of buildings we use a DOAS?
Yeah, so when a building owner decides it's time to build a building or it's time to do a major retrofit, they're going to hire a design engineer, and that design engineer is going to go through. They're going to work with the client. They're going to figure out all of my requirements. What kind of loads are we going to have? Is this an office building? We're going to have people and copy machines and, the typical those kind of things? Or is this a manufacturing building where maybe we've got some processes or, so they're going to go through and work with the client, figure all those things out. And then they're going to start to decide what types of systems do I need to solve those problems. So that's kind of in general the way that works. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So what about like the industry side of things? Are there like certain standards that kind of govern these units or ratings that you want to hit?
Yeah, so ASHRAE kind of defines a DOAS unit. Okay, so ASHRAE defines a DOAS unit as it's kind of either a package or a split system that's specifically designed to treat 100% outside air and to remove the latent energy in that air, or to dehumidify that air to a certain dew point. Okay, so we're trying to keep the dew points low because in buildings, if you get above 60-degree dew points or 60% humidity, those kind of ranges, you'll start to have mold growth in buildings. So
Sure.
mold on surfaces and things like that. So you need to keep the humidity down. Okay. And that's where a dedicated outdoor unit really comes into play because it can really remove that moisture. So it's really important to be able to do that.
In a way, AAON has defined Delta as all of our DOAS product. But jumping a little bit on the product aspect, what AAON products are available in the DOAS application?
So Delta class, as you mentioned, are all the DOAS units. DOAS units are basically any unit that can be selected as DOAS. It can be anywhere from an RQ, RN series, RCs, or even split systems.
So it's really Delta class or DOAS is not a product, it's the application that you're utilizing the product.
Exactly.
To perform
That is
this.
correct.
Perfect. Awesome. AAON has also not only defined the Delta is all over DOAS, but then we have to go a step further and identify what features are required in order for us to call something a DOAS, a DX-DOAS unit.
Yeah. Like what makes the difference between like just a typical conditioning unit and then a DOAS unit or a makeup air? Like how do they all differ from each other?
So ASHRAE and kind of DOE define a specific type of DOAS. It's called the DX-DOAS. Okay, so that's a packaged unit, split system that's specifically designed to have a specific leaving air dew point coming out of the unit. Okay,
what's the DX stand for?
So DX is direct expansion.
Okay.
So that's like a package system, compressor, evaporator, condenser. It's not a chilled water system. Okay. So it's really a complete package system. Now you can have DOAS systems that use chilled water and hot water, but those aren't what's in the specific thing that DOE defines.
Okay.
So DOE has developed a specific test procedure. It's based on what's known as HRI 920. And 920 is a test method that basically puts out the standard conditions and all the different operating conditions you'll use to test one of these DOAS units. So the metric that we use is known as ISMRE2. Okay, so integrated seasonal moisture removal efficiency.
Ooh, that's a mouthful.
Okay, it's a big old mouthful.
Say that 3 times.
Yeah, right.
It's very similar to IER, which is what we use for comfort cooling.
Okay.
So there's 4 different design conditions, kind of from all the way from hot and humid to kind of cooler conditions and less humidity, and then we've used building models across the U.S., different climate zones and all that, to come up with weighting factors for each of those conditions. And then you apply the weighting factor multiplied by the performance at each of the conditions, and you get this overall ISMRE2. Very similar to how IER works for comfort cooling. So DOE's adopted that test procedure, and they've come out with minimum efficiency levels. And we are currently waiting on AHRI to finish the certification program. So there'll be a certification program, likely probably sometime in 2025, where industry will be able to certify all our products through HRI. And we're a big proponent of HRI certification. It's it's a third party organization that independently certifies the performance of all of our equipment. We send 20% of our basic models every year for independent testing, and they check capacity and efficiency and all those things to make sure what we say we do is what we do, right? So it's very important to have that third-party certification. But DOE's will also start requiring us to report our performance to the DOE as well. So we've got several regulatory things forcing us into doing this, and certification coming, and all those great things.
Awesome. So to accomplish what Kevin has described, AAON has defined what are the features required in order to be called a DX-DOAS. Could you tell us a little bit of some of those features that are required for it to be a DX-DOAS?
So some of the features that we have defined that are going to be required for a DX-DOAS is we would like to use a 6-row coil, which will give you the most dehumidification available on a unit. We would like to include modulating reheat as well as doing modulating compressors to be able to really hit the dehumidification that you need.
Yeah, and by modulating compressors, we're talking either digital or variable speed. So, we're kind of unique. We offer digital compressors as well, which a lot of our customers really like. They really like the simplicity of digital compressors and the ease of operation and ease for techs, and you don't have to mess with drives and variable speed compressors. But we offer it both ways.
So these are some of the required features. Could you tell us a little bit of some of the more key or premium features that are optional but makes the DX-DOAS an even more premium product?
So one of the additional options that we have available is we have higher level of filtration. We can do a higher rating of MERV filtration or even HEPA in some instances. We also provide UV lights that we can use to disinfect along with the filters that can help out clean out the air. And then, most importantly, we have energy recovery, which at AAON, we like to use heat wheels quite a bit.
Yeah, energy recovery is really important on a DOAS unit. You're taking, most DOAS units, you're bringing 100% outside air into the building, which means you've got to exhaust that amount of air. You're going to overpressurize the space. So if you just take that air, you just exhaust it out with some fans, you're just dumping a lot of that energy you've already conditioned to put in the building.
Correct.
So energy recovery allows you to recover 50, 60, even 70% of the energy that you've already put into that building. So energy recovery is really important on DOAS systems. We don't require it, but we really recommend that if you're using a DOAS system, you really ought to use...
For efficiency.
Yeah, for efficiency. Yeah. You're going to gain a lot of extra capacity. You're going to gain a lot more moisture control for really almost no additional power. You've got a power to spin a motor that spins the wheel, but it's very little power that's required.
So a clarification question. Could you tell us a little bit the difference between a heat wheel and an energy recovery wheel?
There's kind of 2 types of wheels. You have total energy wheels, which includes sensible and latent energy, and then you have sensible only wheels, which only have sensible. They don't have any desiccant or anything to to transport moisture from one airstream to the other. Now, you're typically going to use a total energy wheel on a DOAS unit. Really, the only time you in most applications that you would use a sensible only wheel would be probably like a swimming pool application, something like that.
And that's what we will call a heat wheel versus an energy recovery.
Heat wheel and energy recovery are really interchangeable terms.
Yeah, it's a heat wheel is a type of an energy recovery.
Okay.
Yeah, energy recovery can also include other things. You can have running coil loops. You can have energy recovery plates. So there's different types of energy recovery, and a heat wheel is one of those types.
Some of them are passive, some of them are active, and the heat wheel is an active version of energy recovery.
Do we offer the fixed plate with our DOAS units?
We do, only on smaller products.
Yeah, the RQ,
maybe the A-Box.
RQ, and we're working on trying to implement it in different products as we go along.
Yeah, plates tend to be much larger than an energy recovery wheel because so it really takes a lot more unit size to accommodate these large plates. So units can get really big when you start using plates. So it's a delicate balance between using a plate and the size of units.
Yeah, and a heat wheel takes a lot less space than a fixed plate that would need to.
Why would you choose to use a fixed plate?
So with a fixed plate, you have no leakage at all. So with an energy recovery wheel, it's a spinning wheel. It's rotating between the outdoor air and the exhaust air streams. So since it's rotating, there is a little bit of leakage there. Okay, you can have some leakage between the outside air and the exhaust air, and so there's a little bit of leakage that can happen there. So with plates, you have no leakage at all. Each airstream is completely isolated. So that's one of the advantages of going to plates. It's just they're much larger.
Another aspect of it, it's that it's a passive system, so you don't really need to put in more, electricity or more power to be able to gain that energy recovery. But with the heat wheel adding the active aspect of it, you get a lot more, capacity out of it. But you do need to put in a little bit more power into it.
Awesome. So those are some requirements and key features that would make something more efficient, or would make the DOAS unit more of a premium option. Delta and Alpha class. Tell me a little bit. Is there a connection there? Could you have an air source heat pump that is used as a DOAS?
Absolutely. So, with all the electrification goals that a lot of folks have these days, everyone's want to talk about heat pumps. So, yeah, as we electrify everything and people don't want to use natural gas anymore, you're going to have solutions where we have a heat pump that's a DOAS unit. Mm-hmm. Now, that's a really difficult application. Okay, when you're talking a DOAS unit, 100% outside air unit, if it's 0 degrees outside, we've got to heat that air up to 70, 80 degrees. That's a very large delta T for a direct expansion system to deal with. So it's really important to have energy recovery. You may need additional electric preheat even coming into the unit as well, depending on how cold it is and how much airflow you're trying to move.
We refer that to tempering?
Yeah, that's kind of a tempering idea, if you will. So you're going to have all those things together to really get an alpha class, delta class, however you want to call it, unit to work together all in sequence.
Well, and what I'm hearing is that AAON controls become much more of a requirement or a necessity.
The controls are really extremely important when you're talking about a DOAS unit. You're a lot of just regular controls folks aren't going to know how to operate that unit and keep that unit operating reliably. We're talking, we're having to look at our compressor operating envelopes at all the different conditions to make sure we're not going to hurt a compressor. If it's variable speed, you're talking electronic expansion valves. Some of those things are very difficult to control. It takes us even a while to develop our sequences to make sure that they're reliable, they're going to work for a very long time, and keep the equipment without compressor failures and all those kinds of things. So controls are really important. The other aspect, even of any DX-DOAS system. So DOE requires us, our HRI test procedure requires us to operate where we've got a 55-degree leaving air dew point temperature. Sure. Okay, so that takes a kind of a different control mindset as well. So we're controlling our compressor to get basically that leaving air dew point temperature, and then we use the space temp and we modulate our reheat valve to get the leaving air temperature we want. So those things all work together to to get, in all these variety of conditions to make sure we're providing what the space needs.
Yeah. Well, and the equipment, the high caliber quality engineering of our equipment combined with the controls allows us to give that 55-degree precise and constantly at all times, which is a huge differentiator for AAON.
It's a very difficult application. Not a lot of companies want to try to take it on, especially with standardized equipment. And so it takes very well-developed sequences to make sure that it operates in all these wide variety of conditions.
And why would they do it if AAON does it so well?
There's no reason.
Going back a little bit to one of my first questions to you, split system. Could you have a DOAS split system?
By all means, yeah. You can combine a H3V3 with a CF to be able to provide a DOAS unit. The H3V3 will handle the air handler, the air, and the CF will do the condensing of it. And you can even have, as we mentioned before, energy recovery on it. You can have your digital compressors and really be able to get what you're looking for.
Yeah, the H3V3 are kind of unique in the industry. There's not a lot of companies that make that type product with energy recovery. So we do that, and we have different filtration options and all the things we talk about in our rooftop products. So it's kind of a bit unique to have that in those indoor air handler type products that are kind of small packages that can kind of fit in a lot of applications. So that's another big advantage to what we have is those split systems that can operate as a packaged DOAS system. There's not a lot of those out on the market.
One thing that Whitney and I were talking before preparing for this podcast was DOAS and makeup air. Could you please help me understand what the difference is between DOAS and makeup air units?
It's really the same thing. There's kind of two terms that are kind of used together. But like I said earlier, DX-DOAS is a very specific term that's defined by ASHRAE and
now has its own rating system.
Has its own rating system. Another thing that's kind of happening these days, we're kind of here at the latter half of 2024, and we talk a lot about 100% outside air being the defined term, but there's also applications where maybe you just need 90% or 80%. So industry's still kind of struggling with how to define this exactly. So at ASHRAE in 90.1 and through HRI through the 920 committees, I serve on all those committees. We have a lot of discussions ongoing right now how to very precisely define what is a comfort cooling unit, what is a DX-DOAS unit. Industry's still kind of trying to determine. We very much know 100% outside air unit we know that's a DX-DOAS.
Yeah.
But as you start to kind of reduce that percentage, what how do you define that? And we may actually, in the end of the day, it may become, maybe the design engineer has some leeway deciding, is this more of a DOAS unit or is this more of a comfort cooling? So there's probably going to be some freedom in there, but there's probably going to be some more rules that are probably going to be coming out in 2025 or so.
Yeah, there are some codes and local codes that require for you to have a DX-DOAS.
Yeah, so it depends where you are.
To understand the difference.
And
from a product perspective, is there a more clear difference or not?
Between a makeup air and a DOAS?
And a DOAS, yeah.
So at AAON, we differentiate it by providing specific controls for DX-DOAS. That way you're going to be able to get exactly what you need. You're going to get controls. You're going to get that, be able to modulate, to be able to get what temperature you're looking for, as well as getting the required ratings that you're going to need to call it a DX-DOAS.
Yeah, but if a customer wants to take it on themselves and control that unit themselves and do all those things, they can order all those options, and it's kind of maybe it's more of a makeup air unit at that point, but it won't have the official DX-DOAS rating. So it's and makeup air can also be chill water, hot water units. There's lots of things you can do on maybe makeup air is the more generic term, and DX-DOAS is the very specialized, specific term.
That's the beauty of it, is that even though they might select it as a DX-DOAS, they're not stuck with just being able to use that unit that same way. Especially if you have economizer, if you have a heat wheel, you're able to then adjust to whatever your system needs.
In a building where you've got 100% outside air coming in during the occupied periods during the day, you don't need to continue to bring 100% outside air in at night. So if you have the economizer option, you can switch and just go to a recirculating unit, and we can do space conditioning off of that. So there's some options you have, depending on your building and how often it's used. Office building versus a hospital, those are very different things, right? So.
Awesome. Well, we obviously had the right people in the room to get everything clarified.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys your time.
So Derby, if somebody wanted to learn more about DOAS units, is there some resources that AAON has?
Absolutely. Our YouTube page, our website, we have great brochures. We have great video that explains a lot more what Delta is, what Alpha is. Truly, like I said earlier, very proud of what our team is doing marketing-wise. And there is a lot of resources out there for you to learn more. Perfect. Thank you guys very much. Welcome again. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And I guess I'll see you next week.
Yeah, probably. I'm sure you'll have something to talk about.
Awesome. To our audience, thank you so much for joining us. We talked about an unseen hero today. DOAS has been for a long time doing the hard work in the back. And I think what we're doing with Delta is elevating and giving the importance that it deserves. So our audience, keep on learning. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Whitney, say bye.
Bye.